know, different realities we've created, different concepts we've created in childhood, different things we were told to believe within our society. Where did we put those into our mind? And how does it create our external reality? A lot of us think from our childhood, we've developed different beliefs such as people are going to leave us. This is an often prevalent belief with a lot of people for different reasons. We may have been forgotten at a grocery store or maybe even adopted. We may have gone to different foster homes. We may have had our parents split up. Now, the concept of this when we're a young child, left unchecked, breeds abandonment. And it has to be checked by us, not by somebody else. This is something you can go to a psychologist and absolutely work with if you so desire, or counselor. But the thing is that it's you who has to understand that life has changed. It's you who has to understand that even though these people may have left you, that is not going to happen again unless you decide it's going to happen again. What do I mean by that? If we firmly believe, that everyone's going to leave us in our life, we will attract relationships purposefully, subconsciously granted, but purposefully that will fail. Simply because we can prove to ourselves again that our concept that everybody leaves is true. We will create our external reality to support what we believe internally. And a lot of us never recheck this. When I was learning it, I would use a thing called calling my own bluff. Whenever I heard a thought, oh, well, this always happens, I'd say, now hold on. It doesn't always have to happen. And I would begin to observe, because a lot of times we have to observe ourselves first. And trust me, we don't like doing this. But always take the attitude that you didn't do anything wrong. You've always done the best thing that you could do. Get in your corner, back yourself. You're doing the best you can. You just want to find another way right now that actually feels better or feels nicer or have a relationship that's actually going to last. So when you're in a situation and you recognize this is happening again, ask yourself, what do you think is happening again? And write it down. Trust me, it'll take a bit to actually find your own answers, but trust me, you have them. And yes, sometimes you might need input from a counselor or a reader that you trust, or a psychologist or psychiatrist. But you will know if you need help, and if you feel you do, definitely ask for it. It will serve you, but make sure you're in the driver's seat and you're the advocate of your life. So, you're looking at a situation. I've done this before. Look at what you're thinking. Look at what you've taught yourself to believe. Then ask yourself if that's what you want to believe for the rest of your life. Of course, the answer might be no. I want to believe something different. So, the same way you originally developed the belief you have now, which you will not remember developing it, you have to slowly introduce another belief system without proof. Because remember, our ego works on proof. This happened already, so I can guarantee you it's going to happen again. But also remember what I'd said before. We subconsciously create the life we believe we're supposed to be having. Some people call it self-sabotage. But we aren't aware that we're doing it. It takes a lot of observation of the self. But really it's not work because you're not changing your day. You're not taking time out from your life to do this. You're simply paying attention to what you're actually doing. So let's break it down to more simplistic. Take the time to stand in front of a mirror and look objectively at yourself. Now, yes, this sounds like baby steps. Yes, it does. But sometimes baby steps is where it's at, to get our heads wrapped around a concept we've never, ever heard before. As you are looking at your physical self, your external reality, examine every part of yourself and take the time to understand how you think about the way you look. Go through each part of yourself, your eyes, your ears, your nose, your body, the color of your skin, the color of your hair, or the color of your eyes, your height. Then write down, if I could change it, what would it look like? Go through every single thing and imagine yourself as that external being that you would be if you could look any possible way. Then ask yourself how you would dress if you could. Would you have tattoos or piercings? Would you be the age that you are? Would you want to look older, younger? As you dress yourself, make sure you have a range that suits you in your imaginary world, not in your real world, in your imaginary world. Then take the time to say, what would my house look like? Where would I live? Would I have a home? What car would I drive? Now remember, for this exercise, it's very important. You do not limit yourself by money. You do not limit yourself in any way, shape, or form. If you are married, for the exercise, be single. If you have children, imagine your life with and without children. We're not saying you don't want what you have. That's not what this exercise is about. This exercise is about opening your mind to possibilities. And trust me, if you follow the process, it helps you to understand yourself better than you ever will, without having somebody else explain it to you. Imagine your perfect mate. Even if you're married, just imagine your perfect mate. Because, sometimes we're with somebody who really suits us good, but we just can't see it some days. Take the time to imagine this whole life that you could have if you could do anything. Would you travel? What activities would you do? Take your time doing it. It is worth it. And when you're done, write down a description of your imaginary life and self. After you're done that, leave that aside for a bit. And then do what I was talking about before. In your daily life, start to observe the way you think. How hard are you on yourself? What's the main thing that plagues your mind? Take a moment and write down the top 10 thoughts that you have in your head on a daily basis. And just try and guesstimate how often you think them. Once you are aware of the main things that you are thinking about, write down what tone of voice are they in. Can you peg what part of life they came from, how old, or maybe who said those things to you, who created that idea within you for you to talk to yourself that way? Take a moment and think about it. Write it down. After you've done that, write the other balancing thought that I was talking about, the affirmative thought that I was talking about. Become aware of what tone of voice you talk to yourself in, where you may have developed this reality concept of yourself to talk to yourself in this manner. But then don't get rid of it. Acknowledge it and bring in a balancing thought or affirmation into it. The main thing is that is something you will do for the rest of your life. Balancing thoughts are required. We will always have ego. We also need to have that other half of ourselves also always engaged. And remember, according to last shows and that theory, we were spirit first, so therefore that is natural to us. Doesn't mean we're broken, doesn't mean we're incomplete. When you have those affirmations written, try and find one affirmation that will work for you all the time. One of the good ones is, I am enough. That is one of the best affirmations to use when we're actually feeling we don't know what to say. Because a lot of times our affirmations, we won't believe them at first. So you almost need an affirmation. When we're working with money, one of the best affirmations is to say to yourself, I am a financial success. Remember, Affirmations are always I am statements. I am whole. I am complete. I am perfect. I am enough. Sometimes when we're looking at our house and we're feeling overwhelmed, one of mine is, my home is in order. It's always the exact opposite of what our ego is trying to tell us, and it's to balance it. It's not to argue with the ego or prove the ego wrong or prove to ourselves that we're right. It's simply a statement, and the statement will bring in the balance. Now, once you have the first part done and the second part done, you will find that you start to open up to possibilities. It sounds odd, but you will. Because when you work in an imaginary setting and you tell yourself, yeah, I could see that person, you will also find that you may go back and redo that exercise and change a few things. Often what we think we want, once we've really started to pay attention to our lives, is not truly what we wanted at all. It's what we thought we should have because of what other people said. We'll talk more about that in just a moment.